What's going on, y'all? I'm your host, Paco. I want to thank you if you're tuning in. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, man. That is really great to see so many Ron Paul supporters together and chatting and talking. And you're like a superstar today, man. Everybody is so proud of you, Jake. And again, man, I can't say it enough. You definitely represented us so well. And that's why you didn't get too much airtime on the media, because you were too good at it, you know? So
Yeah.
I just want to say thanks to that, man. And we got a couple more questions here. Let's see. Can you ask if any of those leading the parking lot convention have had any response from the state chair or vice chair?
We're not seeking informal responses at this point from those individuals on a personal level. So an official, complaint will be moved forward, and so I'm sure we'll anticipate their official response at that time.
Okay. If someone wants to know, do you know what the guy's name is who got hit at the convention?
No, I do not off the top of my head. But going back to that point, I would like to point out you're right about the media coverage. I mean, it seems to me like they would rather focus on the few altercations that we had and almost position it that it was Ron Paul supporters' fault when it absolutely was not. And before the break, I was trying to congratulate everybody that was involved in any of those altercations for showing the utmost decorum in the situation and just awesome way of handling themselves and not, attacking back and giving a bad example of Ron Paul supporters. So, awesome job, everybody that was involved in that.
Yeah, the good thing is we had she's gonna get mad at me. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad with names. But the two sisters that we had on yesterday, it was so great for us to be able to see it. So even though we didn't have the media on our side, the Ron Paul supporters that were tuning in, we saw what you guys did. We saw every minute, every second. We heard all the Ron Paul chants. We saw people there happy as mess with the pizza, making me hungry. but that was great because that was our media, and that's what we have to do. And that's why I call my show Occupy the Media. That's one of the reasons. Is because we need to become our own media, and we need to get this information out there. I don't know if you have or not, but I would hope that you try to get in contact with Ben Swan. He's the only person in the so-called mainstream media or local media that even really gives us a chance, and that would be great that more of your information gets out there. Now, a question that a couple of people have been asking up here is anywhere someone can send money for legal efforts, legal fees, anything like that at all?
Yeah, I think there is going to be an effort for that, and I gave my contact details earlier. If they just want to either friend me on Facebook or email me. Again, it's jakemba@gmail.com. We'd be happy to accept support from the Ron Paul community or anybody who has any, respect for the rules and would like to see the rules followed regardless of who the candidate is. But there will be an effort legally and to make this official with the RNC. So I would appreciate all that.
And it's just Jake Peters on Facebook, right? They can get you there too.
It is Jake Peters. I'm in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And so they can find me on Facebook, friend me, and I will definitely respond. Or they can email me directly.
Cool. Matter of fact, Q Fish that was on with me yesterday just put up here that Ben Swan contacted her last night. So,
Awesome.
There we go. So we got to get that information out there. Now, if you can, for me personally, if you come in contact with any of those people that were there, like the one that got hit, mainly the person that got hit, let them know that I do want them to be on the show. We need to have witnesses and people speaking about this. So anybody that was a witness to that or anyone that was a victim of that, if you could let them know that I personally want them to come on Ron Paul Radio, and I'm pretty sure everyone else wants to hear them as well.
Definitely, I'll be happy to do that.
Okay, so before we run out of time, we got about 5 or 6 minutes left. I just wanted to ask you, do you think that there's anything as Ron Paul supporters could have done better when you guys were actually at the convention? Anything you kind of regret maybe could have been done a little bit better? Or do you think that it was so much shenanigans, there's nothing else better you guys could have done while you were in there?
All right. Yeah, let me address that. And I will say that there was a huge effort to plan this out as best we could and plan for any contingencies. But saying that, we did fail in a few areas. But let me go over just quickly some of the planning that is involved in, and there's a couple areas, like I said, we failed, but the Ron Paul, supporters, took, like I said, food and some other things and helped us out with it, and even calling media out. But number one, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So you got to be ready to have printing taken care of because there's many items that may need to be distributed, like minority rules, slates of delegates, and possible alternate ballots. We also put on some kids convention, and I would like to thank Lori Stan for that, where we provided care to all our supporters so that they could make it and show up at this convention. And we also had transportation and lodging coordinators, which would put people together that needed a ride with people that had an extra seat. And, another thing to point out there is everybody, the key thing is to show up early and plan to stay late. We had people that had to leave early, for certain other things going on, or they just needed to go, but, show up early, plan to stay late. And we also put on a Liberty Pep Rally the night before. We had Thomas Woods there and Jordan Page, great speakers, musicians. And going forward, if you're having a convention, try to get Ron Paul there, because that'll bring the attendance in of the delegates that can be there and almost ensure that you have the numbers to do what you need to do, or at least protect our contingent there at the convention. And I think that Ron Paul's plan going forward is to make appearances at these conventions. Also, we worked with the hotel to get Wi-Fi access keys, and they only had about 100 of them. We bought all of those up, so our people had Wi-Fi availability on their phones. That helped with streaming. And also, I think we set up a wireless access point or two that was hardline in. So those things are important as well. You got to put a check-in table together and have voters' guides available for your delegates so they know how the strategy is going forward. You can check these people in, get an idea what your numbers are, and so that you can have the best strategy going forward. Messaging systems are important. Facebook chat is great, SMS texting, even maybe a Twitter feed, but although not everybody has a smartphone, it can receive Twitter on the fly. Signaling is important. At our convention, the other side was doing it. We didn't, because we had other instances going on, like identified leaders, and if they spoke at the mic, people were prepared to listen and follow what they were saying. And these leaders also need to be prepared to serve in the various roles if needed. During a convention that was continuing in the parking lot, it was important to understand who might want to be chair, parliamentarian, secretary. And those references that we needed were on hand: Robert's Rules, state party bylaws rules, Constitution or whatever, proposed convention rules. And we also would like to point out you need to check those proposed convention rules against what's distributed, because changes can be made and that should be prohibited to change it last minute like that. But you also want to provide a presence. So you need some volunteers that maybe are non-delegates. These people can serve as witnesses that are equipped to stream events and message leadership from the key positions throughout the convention, such as registration, exits, vote tabulation areas, vote counters for standing votes. So if you have a division call, we can quickly try to vote count and get our idea on whether or not we have the numbers. Or if there's a counted division call, we can also double-check the numbers. And delegates should be instructed to capture video on their cell phones, because as people are getting confronted and altercations are breaking out, it's going to be important to have that evidence. And then also you need to have an understanding of the rules. That includes the credentials, adjournment rules. Adjournment can be challenged, like I said, to a count and a roll call vote if needed, and it can be appealed to the chair, and the chair should allow that. The vote counting motion also, if division's called and it's close, make sure you call for a counted standing and understand what the apportionment is from the different delegations. And it's also the key, and we failed to do this, but press notification. We thought the press may be there anyway, but make sure that our side is inviting the press in advance and have a press contact in case that happens where that's needed. Other considerations such as like security. I think there's been discussions of having paid security, or at least unpaid security, people that are willing to serve in those roles, because there will be security there from the other side representing the party or representing the other contingent. Other issues, food. Obviously we didn't plan for that late food dinner to be delivered, but that was planned or taken care of by people watching the live stream. Sound, so you can address a delegation if the public address system is manipulated, like we've seen so many times, if they cut mics off, or if they you get pushed out of the hall. Lighting is important. They're shutting the lights off now at conventions, trying to force people out in clear violation of certain fire codes and other logistics that may be required. But
okay.
The main thing is be prepared to demand that the rules be followed, stand up for your rights, be vocal about it, and fight for every advantage that you could possibly have there.
Exactly.
And you'll have a good convention. So.
And I just want to say what I think some people should probably do too is try to have meetings with local Ron Paul supporters. We're already supposed to be doing phone from home to get people get more delegates. And if you go into these phone banks, like in my area, if you're in the Los Angeles area, LA Liberty HQ on Facebook. That's LA Liberty HQ. If you're in the Los Angeles area, we got the phone bank, and you can get together with other Ron Paul supporters, learn Robert's Rules, have a little Robert's Rules party, whatever the case may be. And for those that are listening, we're going to put this up on YouTube at Paco7 757. You can check out my other interviews as well that I did yesterday and a while back. And again, Jake, I know we're about to be running out of time. The music's about to come on. I want to thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate all the information you got out there. And again, any witnesses, the person who got hit, if you can get me in contact with them, get them on the show, we'll get some more of that information out there. And if you got any last